Hi, it's Ted Deutch, the CEO of American Jewish Committee, the global advocacy organization for the Jewish people. AJC's mission is to enhance the well-being of the Jewish people and Israel and advance democratic values. I am pleased to address the fourth Kyiv Jewish Forum, and I'm especially thankful to the Jewish Confederation of Ukraine and Tablet Magazine for organizing it. I'm proud that AJC actively participated in the first Kyiv Jewish Forum in 2019 that took place in a then peaceful Kyiv. Of course, Ukraine and indeed the world are dramatically different than they were in 2019. AJC has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine for decades. We stood alone among Jewish groups in successfully calling on the White House to recognize the rebirth of Ukrainian independence in 1991. Over the past year, we have stood arm in arm with the diaspora partners and friends around the world to support Ukraine, including by providing millions of dollars in humanitarian aid. Russia's unjust and illegal invasion of Ukraine poses an existential threat not only to Ukraine, but it threatens global security as a whole, threatens the rules-based international order, and like-minded countries must stand together in opposition to this invasion and in support of Ukraine, and there must be accountability for Russia's war crimes. But I remain optimistic about Ukraine's future for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost, because of the immense bravery and dedication of the Ukrainian people, and just how brave the Ukrainian people have been since Russia's invasion especially. The entire nation has rallied behind their government. President Zelensky has truly given the entire world a fine example, a masterclass in what leadership looks like. Moreover, I've been heartened to see the entire Western world rally in support of Ukraine. People who understand the importance of standing up for democracy are standing with Ukraine and with its people. And I really give credit to President Biden and the entire United States government for working tirelessly to ensure that this unity was forged and that it continues. AJC has been proud to be a part of these efforts by advocating for Ukraine in the United States and around the world. Last year, our organization distributed through its specially created humanitarian relief fund over $2.5 million to Ukraine, to two different organizations, including two significant grants to the Jewish Confederation of Ukraine. I just returned back from a trip to Israel and Brussels, where I met with a large range of officials, Israeli officials, high-ranking officials at NATO, at the EU, European Parliament, European Commission, and a whole variety of ambassadors. And in all of my conversations, support for Ukraine was at the top of the agenda. I'm confident that Israel will continue to send Kyiv humanitarian aid and stand with Ukraine in international fora. Indeed, Israel has provided Ukraine with humanitarian aid worth millions of dollars, including a field hospital at the border, supply of local energy via generators, more than 1.5 million containers, water purification systems, hundreds of thousands of food packages, and more. And in addition, since the beginning of the Russian invasion, Israel has allowed more than 30,000 Ukrainians to enter the country. Israel, perhaps more than any other nation, understands what it's like to live in times of war and with violence and threats on the border. Moreover, my meetings with NATO and EU officials made it clear that officials in Brussels and across all of Europe are committed to ensuring Ukraine's territorial sovereignty and integrity. And Europe, I think, should be applauded for its inspiring decision to accept a tremendous number of Ukrainian refugees and to wean itself off of Russian oil and gas. Despite the fact that the continent has borne the brunt of the global increase in energy prices, Europe as a whole must and will continue to strongly support Ukraine financially, militarily, and in international bodies. Now, let's turn to the United States. As a former member of Congress, I can testify to the fact that the partisan divide in Congress is dramatic, and unfortunately, it's growing. There aren't a lot of bipartisan bright spots in this Congress, but support for Ukraine has thus far been a critical point of bipartisan consensus in Washington. and across America. Despite some loud voices, Democrats and Republicans overwhelmingly believe, rightfully, that support for Ukraine is an important strategic imperative. We also know it's a moral imperative, and the Biden administration has been incredibly effective in supporting the Ukrainian people and rallying the international community. I'm confident that the president will continue to work to ensure strong American and international support for Ukraine. And I know that some worry that support for Ukraine in the U.S. and around the world will falter. It may falter in the coming months and years. Every conversation I have, all of the conversations that I've had in Washington and across the world have shown me that Western officials remain committed to supporting Ukraine and that the support will not wane. But we can't take the West's continued support as a fact. We've got to continue to make the case for why Ukraine's victory is so important, that we cannot let Russia's aggression go unchecked, that a country should not be allowed to invade another country for territorial gain in the 21st century, that the future of the rules-based international order is at stake. AJC will continue to speak loudly and consistently in support of Ukraine. We'll do it through our 25 offices around the United States, our 14 overseas posts, and our 5 global institutes. I know that there's a future for Ukraine and for its vibrant Jewish community. Many countries have already committed to rebuilding Ukraine's economy and infrastructure. And the moment that the war ends, I'm hopeful the international community will invest in Ukraine's future and that it will eventually become one of the most prosperous nations in Europe. I'd like to conclude just by offering a word about Jewish unity. Throughout Jewish history, Jewish people have faced a multiplicity of challenges. We managed to overcome them mainly because in Jewish tradition, we all understand that Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh Bazeh, we are all responsible one for another. We've kept this tradition for millennia. AJC's more than a century of global engagement can testify if and where a Jewish community is in danger, be it in Kishinev, Soviet Jewry suffering under communist rule, or a Ukrainian Jewish community endangered by Russian aggression. Wherever that occurs, we feel that pain. We come to offer assistance and support. Together, and only together, will we overcome these challenges. So I'd like to thank again the Jewish Confederation of Ukraine, one of our global Jewish partners. I'd like to thank Tablet for organizing this 4th Kyiv Jewish Forum, which is an important platform for consolidating Jewish community. It's an important moment in the history of the Jewish community and the history of the world, and I am proud to join with you to offer AJC's support at this important time. Thank you for having me.